It becomes apparent very quickly when starting your professional organizing business that you need the right tools, systems, and software to stay organized and run your business professionally. Luckily, there is one company that offers everything from a free website to scheduling, email automation, file storage, and organization, plus a whole lot more that I could literally just have a separate podcast just to talk about this company. I'm sure some of you thought to yourself, Google? And you would be right. So today I'm bringing on a certified Google Workspace trainer to school us up on all of the tips and features available through Google to help you run your business when you're first getting started at little to no cost. So if that sounds like what you need, then stick around and let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Summers, professional organizer, decluttering expert, and ADHD organizing specialist. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, as always, however you're here today, look at the screen of your device and give that subscribe button a tap. And that way you will be an official member of the Speaker Fam, which of course would be my honor to have you on board. Don't forget, if you're watching this podcast episode on YouTube, to give it a big old thumbs up as you get value out of it. And don't forget to tap the notification bell so that you never miss another new episode. Also, be sure to check out all of the goodies that I have for you in this episode and all the other ones in the show notes or down in the description of the YouTube video. There's tons of links and ways for you to connect with me and each of my guests on the podcast, as well as getting access to all of our resources. If you're an Apple Podcast user, you can rate this a 5-star podcast and give us a rave review. We would be so honored to have the support. And don't forget to follow along on social media. You can find me on all the major platforms. I mostly hang out on Instagram. My handle is @ISpeakOrganized, and I love to connect with you guys there as well. Don't forget to also join my free Facebook group. It's a great place to connect with other like-minded folks on organizing and decluttering journeys, as well as those who are starting their own organizing business. And you know me, I'm full of resources. I like to keep you up to date, so let's get into that before we start the episode. You have the opportunity to schedule an affordable consultation with me to get all of your questions answered for real. Nothing is off the table. And I would be honored to strategize with you and provide you with tons of resources during our call. I am serious about my mission to help you successfully start your own business and help you overcome any fear or doubt you have in your ability to make home organizing your new career. It was the best thing I ever did, and I would love to help you do it too. My schedule fills up quickly, so be sure to click the link in the description or the pinned comment to book your call before all of my slots are full for the month. And if you're ready to get paying clients in the door faster, you're going to need a streamlined process to onboard your prospects. And I have taken all the guesswork out of doing that. What to ask potential clients during consultations, what to put in your agreements, getting customer reviews, and more with my signature Pro Organizer Forms pack. These are 9 done-for-you forms that are customizable in a free Canva account, and I'll even show you how to set up that account if you've never used Canva before. These forms will save you days, possibly weeks worth of work researching and drafting critical documents to run your business professionally, and they're specifically designed for our industry. All of my YouTube and podcast fam get an exclusive discount, YT Pro 8, and that will get you $8 off at checkout. Lastly, if you are totally intimidated by using social media for your business, I have a great class that you can watch on your own time called the I Speak Organized Social Media Method. It includes 5 20 to 30 minute lessons that will help you come up with endless post ideas for the most popular platforms, including easy Reels and TikTok video ideas, how to boost your following and engagement with people who actually like and share your content, how to post consistently without spending hours on social every day with my signature content planner that you'll receive for free at the end of class, and a breakdown of all my favorite tools and software. I've made it super accessible and affordable for you. And of course, you get a bonus discount for being part of my speaker fam. ISO Social 5 at checkout. Okay, speaker fam, I am pleased to be joined by Amy of Clutter Care, and she's going to be talking to us today all about digital organizing, specifically Google Workspace. She is the go-to gal for that. I've been a part of her Facebook group community for a few years now, and just the other day, I'm always learning new tips on how to use Google. Google is my preferred thing. I definitely refer a lot of my clients to it, both in the professional organizing industry and a lot of my organizing clients as well. So I want to welcome you, Amy, and have you introduce yourself and tell us all of the things about Google Workspace today. So welcome and happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me, and I'm excited to be here.
Woohoo! I want to go ahead and just dive right in. And one of the first questions that I always ask my podcast guests is how you got into this industry in the first place. It's always a very interesting story. So let's start with that. Let us know kind of what you were doing previously, and then what kind of led you into this specific area of the organizing industry.
Sure. So, before this, my degree is actually in music education. So I was an orchestra teacher for 25 years, taught high school and elementary orchestra, and met my husband when we were actually in high school. We were both playing string bass. So that is our main instrument. Uh,
Oh,
he's a composer, and we both still perform and sing in our choirs. Um, And then I did do professional organizing sort of on the side starting in 2000. Just, neighbors, friends, family. Oh, can you help with this? And I'm downsizing, and, my mother-in-law passed away and all that kind of stuff. Another factor is that my mom ran a resale store for 25 years when I was a kid. And so no, I worked there, and knowing like what is trash versus what is resellable versus what you
mhm.
should donate is a very good skill. As we know, as a professional organizer, we're always trying to give away those items to the appropriate place. So
Mhm.
working in her store really gave me a good sense for trash versus donate versus no, this is valuable and resellable. So that all sort of combined. And then when I was trying to get out of teaching, in the same year, both of my kids were diagnosed with one with ADHD and one with celiac disease. And I kind of had to take some time away from teaching to sort of digest all that and figure out how to take care of them. So I stepped away, and I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do when they're at school? And I really do love to organize. I was like, my favorite thing to do is sort things
Mhm.
into categories, and we're always doing that. So no matter if it's home, paper, or digital, we're always sorting and categorizing to make things easier to find and create our systems. So that's kind of what led me to organizing for real for a business, which I started in 2019. And I started with mostly home and paper organizing. Um, and then once the pandemic hit, everything was on Zoom. So you can do some of that on Zoom
Mhm.
virtually, but that's when I was meeting a lot of other professional organizers who kept saying, well, I'm using Google Workspace or Gmail, but I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I
Mhm.
don't know XYZ. So I've been a Google certified trainer since 2012. And that is because when I was teaching, we always use Google in the school systems. And I love technology, and I love learning new things.
Mhm.
So I got certified as a certified trainer. So at the beginning, I was training my students and fellow teachers. And now I have the privilege of teaching and sharing Google Workspace with other professional organizers and small business owners. So,
That's amazing. Yeah, you and I actually met in 2020 through another organizing like challenge of some kind. I think it was with Holly Sutherland, and that was kind of how we connected. Years ago. I can't believe that it's been that long, but that's when I got to join your group and learn a lot more about Google Workspace, and have become since then totally obsessed. So that's majority of what we're going to be discussing today. So one of the first questions that I want to ask you specifically about Google Workspace is simply what can it do for your business? I just want you to kind of go through a list of a few common problems that we as business owners may face and how Google Workspace can solve those problems.
sure, absolutely. So first thing to remember is that Google, the company, runs on Google. So if they can run a company on Google, so can we. They're a large company. Um, so as professional organizers, obviously we're always looking for systems to make our lives easier. Google is a system, and we often forget all of the apps that are in there. There are so many apps. If you go up to the upper right and you click on the 9 little dots, there's some of the apps, but they're not all listed there. And they are built to work together. I actually taught a class called the Google ecosystem because they really do interconnect, and one pulls from the other and it can communicate with each other. And so it is built for all those apps to work together. So I feel like we don't think about things like that. And so it's a whole system that was built for this purpose. So like one example is, especially new businesses need a low cost, simple website with a contact form. Like that is the beginning. And I don't know if you know, but Google has Google Sites. You can make a Google website for free and it lives in your Google Drive. And you don't honestly even need a domain name, but it's always helpful if you've purchased your domain name and then you can connect it with your site. And then you use a Google form, which is also free, and embed that in your site. So that is all you need to start your website is a free site, a free form, and your domain name. That's all. So that would be one really simple solution.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't realize, well, I knew that Google had the ability to make websites, and I knew that a lot of these tools were free, but I had never thought to really recommend that to people before because everybody's always talking about different other web providers.
Right.
But yeah, when you're first starting out and you're so overwhelmed by all the different possibilities and you don't necessarily have the startup cash to invest in some of these other more, I guess you could call them complicated pieces of software, this is a really great option. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. My website is built on Google Sites. So if you go look there,
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's one example. And I've helped other clients make their website on Google Sites. And the best thing about it is that it's really easy drag and drop to update it. And you have control over updating it because it's in your drive and you have permission to edit it very easily. And then you just click publish and there it is. So if anything changes, it's very easy for you to update it yourself. You don't need to hire somebody else to update it.
Right. Yeah, that's another common thing that a lot of people face is they're not professional web designers, and it can be very difficult if you don't know, especially if you're looking at like WordPress websites and using the plugins and figuring out hosting and all that stuff. That is definitely a big time suck as well. Or you're paying a professional hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to spend the hours necessary to do that for you. So this is a really good alternative.
I do absolutely help. I've built many websites. My husband's actual day job was website building for a long time. So he and I do build websites for people. Or I can, talk you through setting up your menu and then, lay it out for you. And then you can add all the stuff. So that's one of those things that I love to do. The next problem that a lot of us have is having clients schedule appointments with us. And you can definitely schedule appointments with your clients on your Google Calendar and invite them to the event. But if you upgrade to there's a $6 version and a $12 version of Google Workspace, $12 a month, that just came out with a scheduling module that right on your calendar, and then you can put blocks of time and your clients and you send them a link, and then your clients can actually go to that link and schedule and book time when you say you're available.
Oh, wow.
So that is a new-ish feature in the $12 version. And it does actually come with, like, you can add a few small, you can have like a mini form with it, and it will send the clients reminders as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So it's just like a Calendly or, a Square Appointments feature just built right into Google. They have once again made it much easier and generally more affordable, I have found, especially because a lot of the other features are free.
Correct. Yeah. Right. So there's if you upgrade to the second level of Google
Mhm.
Workspace, then you can get that for free. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's great. So, are there any less common features through Google Workspace that you want to share with us, like a secret weapon type of tool? Like, what's your favorite secret weapon to pull out of there?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I was going to say like there's two. I would say one is contacts. I don't think people know that contacts is even an app.
Hmm.
Um, runs in the background. It basically, keeps track of all the people that you email with and make appointments with and sort of collects them. And it's your address book.
Mm.
Well, in there, you can, of course, add more information if they have a company or a phone number or all the other things. And then what I do like about it is that you can go and add labels to essentially make yourself some lists. So these are my
Mm.
vendors, these are my leads, these are my clients, these are my past clients. So you can add those labels and then use them in Gmail to email people or to share documents with them or to send them a Google form or any of the things. So
Hmm.
it ends up being like an email list
Hmm.
if you label those people. And of course, people can have multiple labels. So contacts, nobody knows it's even running, but it is very powerful.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, that again, like that's something that I sort of in the back of my mind, like may have subconsciously seen on the left-hand side of the screen, like here's my contact list, whatever. I've never played around with tagging them before because I use a different email automation software, but it's again a free service or free addition to the whole host of things available inside of Google Workspace Suite that we can have access to. I love that. What was the other thing that you were
I
thinking?
was gonna say, well, there's so many things. I'm like, oh, I can't pick my favorite, but I'm
Right.
trying hard to pare down.
It is hard.
It is. So I'll say along with that is that in your Gmail, if you turn it on in settings, you can actually make Gmail templates. So if you send the same email out over and over again, whether it's formatted to look pretty or it's just text, you can save those templates and then just pop them in whenever. And of course, if you use that with your lists from contacts, now you sort of have an email marketing, like your mini email marketing system within Gmail.
Wow. Okay, hold on one second. My camera died, so I have to switch to my front facing video here. Hold on one sec. There we go. Okay. That is amazing. And I will tell you why I'm amazed by that because yesterday I send the same email out to a lot of my coaching clients. It's just a follow-up email. And I popped the script into Google Docs yesterday because I've been saying to myself for months, like, Melanie, you just need to make a template of this. So I did it inside Google Docs so I can just copy and paste. But now, Amy, you're telling me that I can literally just do that inside of Gmail and just have it readily available when I need it. So that's probably what I'm going to do after I get off of this podcast call right now.
Yay!
Oh, that's so funny. I love that.
Yes. Always, there's so many things. That's why I'm like, I can't pare it down.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yes.
Um, so there is that one. The other one I would say is Chrome profiles. They take a little bit of getting used to, but they can keep your personal Gmail account separate from your work stuff and and I will also volunteer. So I have at least 3 Chrome profiles, and then I save all the things I need for personal in one profile
Hmm.
and all my work stuff in another one and all my volunteer stuff in another one. And that includes, bookmarks, passwords,
Hmm.
um, so many things, tabs that I want to have open when I go into my Chrome. Um, and I will say it gets confusing because there's 2 little pictures in the upper right, and it's the
Hmm.
top one that you really want to use to keep all those buckets separate. I kind of say like, if you are going to the beach, you don't want your computer bag, you don't want your computer in your beach bag, and you don't want sand in your work bag. So you don't
Hmm.
want those 2 things mixed up. So the Chrome profiles really help keep everything straight.
Yes. Okay. That it's interesting because Google has developed so many useful tools, but because there are so many, it's helpful to have an expert to guide us in the right direction with certain things, as we may need help navigating all of that. So that leads me kind of into my next question. And this is more of an opinion question. So you feel free to let your opinions fly here, because that's why we're here. I want to know what you feel is the most important reason for someone to use Google Workspace versus a different CRM or other business software.
So, especially for those business owners starting, right? Google Workspace has so many tools available for a low cost, which is what we need when we're starting. That is really my number one reason. It is low cost. It's either $6 or $12 a month, period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Aside from your domain name. And with that, you can run your business. You have so many tools and so many things you can do in there. And then when your business grows, you can add on another system, and most systems integrate with Gmail and Google Calendar and Drive. When it's time to grow, you can add on more systems, but at least you have the foundation laid and you know where all your stuff is and your systems are running correctly. So that's really what I think about why you should start there.
Yeah, it's critical. I agree.
Yep. And everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but so many people have a Gmail account. And the biggest difference between, I guess, there's Gmail account, right? There's something at Gmail,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's the Google Workspace account where you've connected your domain.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks a little more professional. Yes, it costs a little more. Gmail is free, but it gives you that professionalism and the basis for growing your business with your domain name. So.
Right. Yeah. And everybody's kind of, I'm already using Google Workspace for that very reason, so that I have my @I Speak Organized email handle there. And that's something, as you mentioned, a lot of us are already investing in anyway. So we may as well start there. It's very easy for us as business owners, especially when you're first starting out, to become very overwhelmed by the amount of choices available to you. And so it's just nice to know that these foundational pieces exist for very little money, and they're easy to navigate, especially if you just join Amy's group, and then you can have a coach that's available to ask questions, a community that will help you and all that good stuff. So that's really nice. Yeah, super easy.
One other thing that I will say is that I looked it up yesterday because I was trying to answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
The free Gmail, I believe, gives you 5 gigs of storage, but even what's the $6 a month gives you 30 gigs per user. So if you have a second person, now you have 60 gigs, your ability to store things. And I will remind you that the storage is Google Drive, your Gmail, and your photos. So those 3 things combined. So, from 5 to 30 is a huge jump. And I have spent, I don't know how many hours helping people which things should I delete so I don't have to buy more storage? And it's not that expensive. Just go with it.
Yeah, just spend the $6, whatever it is. We spend way more money than that on, coffee drive-through each week. So you may as well make your life a little bit easier in this regard where you can, right? So speaking of getting organized, because we not only are doing that for our clients, I have found that as business owners, we're very good at organizing the physical stuff. As professional organizers, we're good at organizing the physical stuff. But then when it comes to organizing our own digital lives and organizing our business, essentially, it's very hard. And a lot of people that I meet with don't have the technology chops. They're very intimidated by it. And we just want a little bit of help. So let's talk about staying organized with Google Workspace. So break down a really simple routine. What are some things that you can use, some ways that you can use these tools to set up reminders, labels, filters? I'll kind of let you take it away from there, but what do you think we should know?
I'll sort of give a couple general things, and then I want to go into one specific thing that I love to use. Mm-hmm. But I will say, when I set up either email systems or Google Drive systems, you want to think about your physical stuff and your paper. And my goal would always be to have those systems aligned. So if you have binders or you have, file folders or categories in your, file cabinet, use those same categories in your labels and your folders in your drive, because those 2 or 3 systems should all match and align as best as possible so that you're not relearning or not, you don't have to learn a new system, I would say. So that's one thing. The And please do make some folders in your Google Drive and drag things in there. People are always nervous about how to get things into the folders, and it's literally just drag it. So one of the tools that I love to use is my Google Calendar. I use it all the time. But for me, it's like you and I are having this meeting today, and if I were setting it up, I would make the event on my calendar. I would add the location, whether that is a physical address, which is actually then clickable to Google Maps in there, or I would put attach a Zoom link or a Google Meet link into that event. And once I do that, and then I invite other people, then they have that information on their calendars already. And I don't have to email it separately. It's already there. The other thing is there's a spot for a description. So if you have an agenda, you could put some bullet points in there. We could drop the questions we were going to talk about in there. Or there's a little paperclip button, and you can attach any files that you might need for the meeting. So the questions you're going to ask me, or the agenda that we have, or the client file that I'm meeting with my team about, I can attach that to the meeting. So when it comes time for the meeting, I don't have to scramble and be like, where is that file I need? So when I'm making the meeting, or as I make the file, I attach it to the right meeting in the calendar. So that all of it's like in one little package. The other thing is then I invite guests so that it appears on their calendar right away. And they can see if it conflicts with other things, especially if there's a time change or we're in 2 different time zones. It's nice that it will land it in the right place.
Yes.
And then the other thing is that if they're using the RSVP link the best, then they can RSVP and click yes, no, or maybe. And I can actually see on the event who's coming. There's a little green check mark if they said yes and a red X if they said no. So I can keep track of if it's a team meeting or whatever, who's actually coming. So I love that. Or who didn't reply to me yet and I need to check with them. So that's great. And the last piece of it is that if I need to reschedule it, I literally just drag it on my calendar or change the date, and all of that stuff comes with me and notifies everybody else.
Oh, wow.
All in one fell swoop. So it's very helpful, and it saves a lot of clicks and like, oh, did I email them about this? And I forgot to attach that and all the things. So whenever I'm making a meeting, I just try to put everything in that one calendar event.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you are literally doing all of that inside of Google Calendar. And one of my favorite things to do on top of that, which I'm sure you obviously know about doing this, is to email myself the agenda for the day at 5 a.m. So it syncs my Google Calendar to my Gmail. And so when I wake up in the morning, I will have received an email that has the list of like all the events that I put into my calendar. It's just right there. So I know like, okay, which meetings I have coming up. And then you can click into that and it pops open your beautiful calendar. It's so great how everything kind of just like works together very seamlessly once you know how to use it as a business tool.
Correct. Yeah, I love that. So I hope that was helpful. If there's anything else you want to stay organized with, let me know.
Oh my goodness, there are so many different things. There was something else I was going to ask you about. So yeah, let's talk maybe a little bit about this kind of goes with Google Calendar, but you can also integrate this as a sidebar in your email. So let's talk about tasks. Maybe we can talk about keep and reminders, because those things can be really useful tools. They can also kind of like step on each other because they can be used for similar purposes. So it's nice to know from an expert what the intended purpose is for those 3 things and like how you can use them together with your calendar or your Gmail.
Sure. So one of my favorite things, tasks was another one you had. Yeah, I had made the like. I actually think I somewhere have a video in one of my classes about this. So I can. The brief version is,
Mhm,
tasks is available on the right. I'm looking right now. It's called the side panel, and it's
mhm,
a little blue check mark. Um, you can either open it up and just type some tasks in. If you're like, oh, I forgot, I got to do this, just type it in and then if you add a due date to it later, it will actually show up on your calendar at the due date that you said or when you need to do it. Because Tasks is not only an app, but it is also one of the calendars that you get automatically with your calendar.
mhm.
So when you get a brand new calendar, your name is first and Tasks is next. And that is a Tasks calendar that pulls from this Tasks list or
Right.
app.
Yeah, it's like a to-do list, right?
Yep. So you can hand enter things. Sometimes even when I'm on my calendar, I can click and when you add something, one of them is an event, or I could add a task right to my calendar.
Mhm,
So, and if I put it on my calendar, it will show up in tasks with that due date because those two things are connected.
mhm.
The last way is actually, oh, now there's a fourth way. They added another feature, but from your Gmail, if you select an email with the little checkbox,
Mhm.
you will get some icons, and one of them is a check mark, and you can add that email to your tasks. And of course, if you set a due date, fine. And then it will show up on your calendar when you need to do it. And again, like you said before, if I click on it, it will actually pop open that email with
Mhm.
what it is I have to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So if you're getting an email from a teammate or a client or something like that, and you know, like, oh, I need to follow up on this email, you can just click that little task check mark on the email and create an event or a reminder or whatever that says, like, respond to this or send them a file or whatever. And then you're not having to scramble to find the email when it comes time to send them the thing that, you said you needed. So that's a feature I always forget about that I again like I'm glad we're having this meeting so that I can remember to put this into practice in my own business. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. So that's a good one. The other new way to add a task is actually if you're in a Google Doc and you are typing a list of some sort, there's bullet points and there's numbers, but there's also check boxes.
Hmm.
And if you use those check boxes and you hover over it, now that little same task icon pops up and you can actually assign it to somebody, whether it's yourself or a teammate. And then now it's in their task list as
Ah.
well.
Oh wow, I didn't know you could do that. That's awesome. So it's a great way to like stay in connection with your team there and delegate tasks more effectively. Very
Yep.
cool. That's awesome. So I know that it's going to be really hard to to summarize this, but if you were like on a desert island with your computer and it still worked and
Oh, yeah.
if you only had access to just three tools, what would your favorites be in Google Workspace? And this is just to help people who are really brand new to this and maybe feeling still of like overwhelmed by technology and they're just feeling intimidated. So what would your top three things be to just help them get started to focus on?
Gmail, Drive, and Calendar. Always, always, always. Those are the core and the heart of Google Workspace. So Gmail is communicating, Drive is saving your files and creating new ones because some people forget that you can add files and upload files to Google Drive, literally any kind of file, whether it's audio, photo, etc. So it's
Mhm.
it's a container. You can save things there.
Right.
Also, it essentially acts like the Microsoft suite that older generation is used to. And you can just make a Google Doc or make some slides or make a website or a form right in Drive.
Hmm.
That is your main tool
Hmm.
to function. And then calendar, of course, because I'm trying to always stay organized with my time and time management. And again, you can do so much stuff in there and track things. One other new feature that they added in the $12 version as well is that if you like to color code your calendar
Hmm.
events, even on one calendar, if you use the colors, you can actually categorize your time and it will add up. How many hours are you spending on this kind of thing? How many hours are you spending on that kind of thing per week?
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. So like I can see how many hours a week I'm spending on my Google clients versus my home org clients versus running my business. Just by using those calendar colors. So that is very useful for us business owners doing all the 17 things.
Yeah, it is. And I love the ability to, if you're feeling overwhelmed, because I often will have all of my calendars turned on at some point so I can see the visual snapshot of personal responsibilities, business responsibilities, and like the difference between online business coaching and my in-person clients and stuff. But if you get overwhelmed, you just click that little box and you turn it off and it all goes away. If you don't care to see what holidays are coming up, you can turn the holidays off or whatever and just kind of like hyper focus on whatever it is that you've got going on in the moment. So you have the ability to do either, depending on, how you function best, how you're most productive, things like that. So it
That's,
really is amazing.
yeah, the last thing I was going to say while I'm looking at this Gmail driving calendar is the sharing function in all of these things. You can share a whole calendar or you can share one event or you can share a whole file folder full of stuff or just one file. But that ability to share and actually collaborate on documents, like Google was the first to do that. So, um, you know, collaborating in documents and on projects with other people at the same time or asynchronously is really one of the main reasons I love Google, because I don't have to redo work and I don't have to email files back and forth. It's just there it is, and we can work on it together. So
Right. Yeah. And it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. There's a lot of automation capability too, particularly with Gmail as well, when you're setting up filters and labels for things. And I love I was talking to my business coach about this the other day, using keyboard shortcuts through Google so that you can breeze through your email super fast and just, put things, you can archive them or label them and put them, in their little buckets, and you can go through your entire email list for the day in like 2 minutes or less, which I love. So
that's great.
yeah, all of the different tools available to us, which kind of leads me into wrapping up with you, because I know you as the expert here have a lot of options for helping us maximize the effectiveness of Google Workspace. There's a lot that can be done that we can't cover in just, a 20 or 30-minute podcast episode. So I want to make sure for people who are really serious about giving this a try and utilizing it as the amazing tool that it actually is, that we have access to an expert like yourself to help us navigate through it. So how do we get in touch with you? What are the resources you have available for us, and so on?
Sure. So please check out my website at cluttercare.net. And there's business, personal, and classes services available at the top. Of course, there's the contact me section. So if you're interested or you just want to have a conversation, please fill out the contact form and we can have a lovely conversation and see how I can help you, point you in the right direction. Also on there, you can find my Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and YouTube links. So there's that. Really, anybody that's interested in optimizing your Google Workspace, learning more tools, figuring out how to do this for your business, what things are worth it, which things should you do first. Please, again, contact me and I'd be happy to have a clarity call and just discuss and point you on the right direction.
Yeah. Cut through all of the noise and figure out what specifically works just for you and your business and nobody else. Love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Amy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's really been an honor to have your time to share this with everybody. And I'm really excited for putting this episode out there for everyone to enjoy and hopefully get in touch with you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. This has been a pleasure.
Okay, fam, that's going to wrap it up. As always, it's an honor to have your time. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the episode. If you would like to connect with Amy, all of her information is down in the description of the video or the podcast show notes. If you want to connect in her Facebook group, that link is there. If you want to work with her and get some Google Workspace training, I highly recommend it. There are so many possibilities that we talked about just in this podcast episode alone, and there's many, many more on the other side of that as well to kind of sort through. And sometimes it's nice to have an expert guide you in the right direction. So I encourage you to get in touch with her. Be sure to join my free Facebook group so you can ask questions and get advice on all things organizing business, all things organizing in general, if that's why you're there. I love to answer those questions, and our members also love to jump in and give each other advice. It's a very supportive community, and be sure to check out all the rest of the links, all the goodies down there, get on my calendar, all that good stuff. I would love to help you. And beyond that, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.